GM Virtual Horse Racing Enjoyers. In this one, taking you through photo finish, the game. TLDR on this one, this is online horse racing. They are virtual horses. Using NFT technology, you can breed the horses, buy them, sell them, race them, bet on them, pretty much a full horse racing ecosystem here on the Solana blockchain. Now, this is an $800 billion industry, the horse racing industry, by the year 2030 by all estimations. And so I think there's going to be some value capture for the online version of this. How great that will be, I'm not quite sure, but I do think this can do very well, especially as we've seen in the previous bull market, the likes of D-Race and Z-Run do quite well themselves. So let's go through the gameplay, how it all works, the various in-game currencies, and how you can actually get a stake in this game utilizing the Crown token, which you can see on screen here. So if you enjoy this one, make sure you do subscribe to the channel, drop a comment down below, and we'll jump on in. So first off, we have the team here. These guys have been shipping Web 2 horse racing games for over a decade, have a lot of experience in this industry. And as of March of this year, they went live with photo finish. So they have the experience necessary to actually be successful in this. And as we can see, if we just go down to some of their backers and partners down here, the likes of Coinbase Ventures are in on this, and they have a live partnership with the Kentucky Derby. So this is a little bit of a snippet here and shows the legitimacy of the project, the fact they have an actual horse racing brand that they are partnered with. Clearly these guys in the traditional horse racing world have some interest in the e-horse racing game. So just check this out real quick.
How is it all going to work out? This is where the guys go into the lab and they come up with a Ford race preview.
And wait till you see this. This is almost like watching a real race. So much of this is jockey intent. We expect
almost like watching a real race
to set the early pace, the first part of it, because that's what they want to do. Classic Causeway ought to be right.
So every month they have the actual Kentucky Derby, and this takes place on a special track within the game. And within that, they have these real life commentators actually commentate on the actual event, which is quite amusing. And if you've seen like in a bookmaker's live horse racing, the actual images aren't even that good typically. So I don't think the fact that this is an e-horse race actually will put people off betting on it. I think the market for this will just continue to grow as time progresses. So I am bullish on the kind of metaverse analogy, like the kind of metaverse horse racing rather than real life horse racing. Open 24/7, 365. Bet on these from wherever you are across the globe. You don't have to be, in the UK betting on UK races. And you can do this with a simple just a login with an email address. You go to an actual bookmakers, you need ID, etc., and online as well. They do want a bit more information from yourselves. So this is the main website, and what we're going to do is just quickly roll through it. We're on the home page right now. You can see major race series coming up, which takes place each and every month. So 1 month in this virtual world is the equivalent of 1 season and 1 year to the actual horses. So the NFT horses do age, they retire, they die, all that good stuff. And this is the compelling nature behind this. The fact that if you are going to manage a stable, you have to be considering things like breeding, buying horses, studying out your horse, that kind of stuff. And this is why it's very immersive, and I can see why people would be very addicted to this kind of game. I've previously played these kind of things in football, or soccer as you may call it, back in my teen years, and got very obsessed with these kind of things. So I can see this from a horse racing fanatics point of view. You could really get immersed in this and end up spending a lot of time every day on this. And if you dive into the community around this, a lot of people are doing so. So a very professional setup here. This is the homepage. From here you can see the upcoming races for the day. They seem to run on a regular time schedule, starting at 3 p.m. that is UK time today, and they run through late into the evening. On the left hand side we have My Stable. So once you do sign up, you get a free horse you can actually just play with on the free to play kind of things. You can see free races on the left here, and this is where you could cut your teeth, see how the gaming mechanics work and all that good stuff before entering in and putting down real money. So the main use case of this is the fact that if you're doing well, you are generating real yield in the form of the Derby token, which is this one up here. This is a stable coin. 80 Derby equals 1 USDC. And then the staking coin Crown, this is the kind of investment one. This gives you a revenue share on both the yields taken from the tracks. To participate in a race, you must put in some Derby to actually race your horse. And also there is betting as well, and part of the rake also goes to crown stakers. More on that in just a moment. You can see the races down here as well. So within this you can see the various categories: juvenile, juvenile maiden, so these are younger horses that have not yet won a race. And you can see grade 2, there's grade 1s, etc. So your horse would be categorized by its kind of metadata. How good is it? If you've got an absolute donkey of a horse, you're not going to be racing against grade 1s, which would just smoke you. You remain in your level of competition. The top 4 in each of the races, so positions 1 through 4, will actually get a prize, a decent prize. It doesn't necessarily cover the Derby entry fee, but at least it will be a bit of a rake back to you. Of course, if you are winning the race or coming second, you do typically profit. And what they have is an incentivization scheme over the first 12 months, running from March of this year to March of next year, 2024, where they incentivize you to race by giving you crown as a bonus. So what this means is that actually participating in the races, you will make money because the crown incentive is greater than the entry cost of the Derby to actually race. So this is incentivizing people to use the game and thus kick off the flywheel, more races, more revenue to those who stake on the tracks, therefore generates a greater demand to produce more horses, more interest in the game, more betting and all that good stuff. If we just jump into the track here, you can see 6 furlongs, left side, dirt, conditions unknown, rain chance 20%. Again, all the metadata of your various NFT horse will factor into how it performs during the race. They have their own algorithms that obviously determine how well you'll do. You also have to look after your horse as well. There's a lot of things that go into this. A very immersive experience and one you could spend a ton of time on. Let's go down to tracks here. So in the tracks, you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 live tracks that you can stake your crown within to get the rev share. On the right hand side, you can see the current season earnings. So these are the participation amounts of Derby. So to race on the track, you have to enter some Derby to race your horse. That gets accrued, potted up till the end of the season, 5.4 million crowns staked on this track, and all these people will get a proportional share of 2 million Derby. That's around 25,000 US at this moment in time across 440 stakers. And then you can see the Churchill Downs course at the top here. This is the one that actually races the Kentucky Derby once per month, once per season, September 24th, October 22nd, November 18th, etc., etc. And a decent prize purse for that, 1,000 US equivalent there for that one. Then if we just jump into another course here, so we'll do Future race course here, and we're going to go to the staking tab. So you can see down here, the enrollment is currently closed. You must stake at the start of a new season. There's a window to actually get your crown staked. If we just go to the crown staking portal here, so you would come and allocate your crown held on your Solana-based wallet to one of these various race courses at the start of the season. And so the crown token, once staked, gives you rev share in the Derby USDC equivalent coin. So the crown token is your access key to revenue share from the horse racing on the tracks, plus a betting rake additionally. We'll just dive into breeding here. There's full breeding mechanics. You can go into all the metadata, the pros, the cons of getting various horses. You can also retire your horse very early and then stud them out. Obviously, if you hold the male horse, you can sell their virtual juice. And if you have a female horse, you can actually bear a foal. So the horses can be studded out 35 times per season. The mares can actually produce 1 foal per season, i.e. 1 month. A lot of interesting stuff to dive into with this. If you were to get into this game, again, you'd probably have huge spreadsheets, a lot of information you'd be gathering and trying to see who you want to breed your horses with and all that fun stuff. We'll move on to the marketplace here. This is where you can buy horses that are for sale right here, right now. You can see the cost of them in Derby to the right hand side. There's also a stats page here. Get into the leaderboards, see which horses are producing good results, maybe look at their metadata and see why they're good horses, that kind of stuff. Then maybe go to the breeding and try and get some of the qualities that some of the winners are actually holding. You can also dive into people's stables here, see the Big Brain stables as an example here. They're one of the biggest ones in this race ecosystem. And there is data on here just the last few days of analysis. So again, very, very immersive. Gen 0, these are the first generation of horses. As it says at the top here, the initial horse population, 4,350. So that was the least amount of horses there will ever be in the game. And then since this has happened, you're now getting the breeding mechanics starting to kick in. I think the first foals, the newlyborns, started to race during last month in August. And so over time, the number of horses in the game, live and active, will be going up, which obviously kicks into the flywheel. More races, more horses, more derby allocated to race on the tracks, thus higher revenue for crown stakers on those various tracks. Very interesting indeed. We're moving on to PFPs here. So there were 15,008 profile pictures, and these various PFPs all have an allocated amount of crown tokens to them, which do emit once you stake them. So you do need to stake them. Go over to the staking tab, buy a PFP, maybe off Magic Eden. We can see one here. And for example, this stud here, 3749, has a crown allocation of 13,550 on him. This emits over a 2-year period. I think we're like 6 months down, so roughly 75% of that would still be eligible. So say it's around 10,000 crown tokens. You could buy him for 106 sol, then come back to the actual game, go to staking if he's in your wallet and stake him, and then you would start to get those crown tokens emitted to you. And you can get a bit of a discount on the crown emissions to the current cost. As you can see here, USD to crown. So currently crown's trading at what, 22, 23 cents. But you can buy this guy here, and as per the emissions due, you'd actually be getting crown at 17 cents per token as it gets emitted, but obviously that is getting emitted to you over that vesting period of another 18 months or so. Do also note that these PFPs are not the racing horses. These will just get you the crown allocation as shown down here, but the race horses you need to actually race in the game, found within that marketplace. Then finally, we have the news tab down here as well, just to show you how in-depth this all is and how you can really nerd out with this game. They have all the latest schedules, they have auctions. The team participate in regular AMAs on YouTube and also on Twitter Spaces currently as well. So you really can sink your teeth into the photo finish game. So just a bit more on the breeding mechanics behind this. As mentioned, seasons are over a 4-week long cycle. So 4 weeks in real life equals 1 season. 1 season is 1 year to your horse. In order to breed a horse, it must be retired. You can retire it early, which will be a strategic decision. You can retire it at 3 years of age, and then they are forced to retire at age 8. Hence, there is a cycle for these NFTs, and you will need to breed them. You will need to buy them, sell them in order to have an active stable. So this keeps the churn of the game going. Your horse can breed until it dies in its early 20s, RIP. Studs can breed 35 times per season. They get paid by the female owner, and the females can breed once per season, but they do keep the foal. So you can see there's various ways to play the game. Maybe you don't even want to race. You could just be breeding, buy up some top pairs, and then sell them each and every season, that kind of stuff, or train them up, look after them. Whatever you want to do, there's just tons of ways to come at this game. So a quick snippet here, this is just showing you someone betting on a various race. They click into the race, select the amount they wish to bet in the Derby token, the stable coin, on the various person. So this is the first horse he's going to go for here, number 1, 2-stroke. Clicks on that, makes the pick as you can see, and then he'll be betting $1 million Derby on that one to actually win the race. So pretty interesting stuff. As we know, people love to gamble. Gambling on horse racing goes hand in hand. It is pretty much the backbone of that sport, and so this could be quite intriguing to see this grow over time. Quickly, let's jump into some token stuff. First and foremost, the stable currency Derby, as we mentioned, 1:80 ratio. You deposit USDC into the game, go to your wallet once logged in, up here, fund said wallet, add your funds, and you'll be credited with Derby, so 80-to-1 ratio. Keep that ratio in mind when doing anything within the game as well, so you know how many dollars you're spending. But Crown is of course the kind of main value capture token here, and the one, if you are going to invest into this, not financial advice, is the one you would probably participate with. So Painsy put down an epic thread on this. He says you stake Crown on the tracks in which the races are ran, and the horse owners pay USDC in the form of Derby. 20% of the fees are given to the Crown stakers, And also 20% of the gambling rake for the races is given to stakers as well. So it's currently churning out somewhere in the region of 5% per month ROI, which is pretty damn impressive. That's 60% per year at current. And you have to stake the crown token for the season at the start of the season. So you need to put your tokens down, make that commitment. They're then locked in for the 4-week period, and you will get Derby or USDC as it is, more commonly referred to as your yield for staking crown. So crown is your access to the revenue stream. As he points out, the flywheel is more horses equals more races, higher participation equals higher yield generated for the stakers. So he's bullish on this and thinks the crown staking ROI will go up over time due to the fact we are getting more and more horses joining the racing pool. So it does make a lot of sense. There is an argument around there's too much emissions for this. If you want to jump into the emissions tally here, there is a linear increase in the amount of crown coming into the game each and every month. As I mentioned earlier, they're incentivizing people to race by utilizing this. And they've also got team tokens coming out at the end of, I think it's actually April/May of 2024. So around 1 year into the game, team tokens do start to vest at that point. So it'll be interesting to see what happens around this time. I imagine there would be some form of sell-off prior to that as people get a little bit spooked about the team and investors getting their hands on tokens for the first time. And we get to find out if they are bullish on the revenue share by staking or whether they would try and cash out some profits. I imagine a bit of both. He points out that emissions are linear and the racing horse population is exponential. As more female horses join the breeding pool, the horse population has no max cap, but crown does have a set supply. So horse population growth will outpace the crown emissions over time. That is the kind of flywheel effect. So if this does gain in popularity, the monthly ROI should go up, the revenue should increase, and that would obviously bumper up the price of the crown token as well. You can see how these emissions factor in here. So staking rewards of those 15,008 NFTs, the PFP collections, you stake them to receive the emissions of the various horse. These come out over a 2-year period until March of 2025. And it says each and every 28 days, a new tranche of 4.8 million crown tokens are deposited into the staking pool. So that is the staking inflation. Team and investors, as I say, it says here, May 1st, 2024, they will start to linear vest 70 million crown over a 1-year period. And the crown incentives currently ongoing, 55 mil crown, 4.23 mil crown per season over this first 12 months to incentivize a healthy usage of the overall ecosystem here. So you can see how they've got the ball rolling by incentivizing people through the crown token. You can also see why people would stake the crown token because the revenue is pretty damn good, a very healthy ROI, and obviously in an industry that is expected to continue growing. And if we just think about crypto, gambling, gaming, that kind of crossover seems to be a winner. Competitor analysis wise, Z run, I think this ran up to somewhere in the region of 12 cents here. Going back on CoinGecko data there, that would have put that at say 120 mil. Circulating market cap, D-Race circulating market cap went above $200 million for a brief moment. There's a few months where you could have got out above 100 mil in circulating market cap there. This was pushed quite hard by Alex Becker last cycle. The all-time high on the token itself was over $8. So there's obviously a lot of interest in horse racing if it does get pushed by the correct people. If we just go back to crown here, currently sitting at an FTV of 57 mil. Somewhere in the region of around, it's about 20 odd mil tokens are currently circulating. So you could say a tenth of this. It is a low market cap, something like 7 mil market cap only. And I think one of the main reasons for that is obviously the markets are quite depressed, but also if you go to markets, the depth on here and the liquidity over on Solana is pretty damn poor. So it is hard for people to get in and out with any size. But I do think if they were to solve that and they are able to add deep liquidity for this, then it could really send. Chart does not look all that bad there whatsoever either. So quite a few early adopters in on this one over the last month or so. Some big names, Camino, CryptoPainsy, Sivo, people you've probably heard of over on crypto Twitter starting to back this. This will also help for the marketing of this as they have big influence in the industry as well. But overall, my thoughts on this, very interesting market sector. Crypto gambling and gaming crossovers with NFTs are, pretty interesting to me. And I do think if this can continue on the current trajectory with this solid team they have behind it, with the kind of backers they're starting to get on board, we could see this pushed a bit more by the traditional horse racing scene. And so I think there's a pretty decent risk to reward on this one for doing really well. Of course, not financial advice, make your own decisions. It could go to zero, but personally, I do like the Crown token here as a proxy play into this ecosystem. Hope you enjoyed this bit of a deep dive. Show some love down below. Like the video, smash subscribe. See you in the next one. Peace.